Hello everybody, my name's Minika and welcome back to the overview, where today we're at the one you've all been waiting for, theoretically. Well, I mean, one of two you've probably all been waiting for, because we'll see if you want that other set. This is the set that I imagine will be the most popular from the LEGO One Piece line. You've seen the thumbnail. Of course, I'm talking about set number 75639 for $140. The LEGO Going Merry, or I guess the official title of the set is the Going Merry Pirate Ship, which is whatever. Yeah, pirates. I love One Piece, you know this, and this feels fitting. This is my first Going Merry toy. There isn't too many of those out there, unfortunately, so it's been a bit of a struggle really having a super concrete One Piece display. I didn't get the what is it called, it's kind of part of the Chogokin line, but I don't know if it's specifically part of the Chogokin line. It's that Bandai ship, and then there's model kits, and I just never got a Mary, I guess, until now. Sorry about the glare, but anyways, here we are with the Going Merry Pirate Ship. As previously mentioned, this retails for $140, which isn't that bad. It's expensive, don't get me wrong, but in terms of the grander scheme of LEGO pricing, that's not the craziest price you'll ever see in the wide world of LEGO. Anyhow, it's the Going Merry Pirate Ship. You know what to expect. Up in the top corner, as we've been seeing this entire time, this is going to be our final time covering this specific style packaging because the Baratier is a little different. Oop, spoilers. Anyways, at the top corner, we have that map with the largest look at that LEGO live-action One Piece logo. Always looks wonderful. In the bottom corner, we have a smaller little bit of map that shows us the 5 minifigures that come included in the set. A Monkey D. Luffy, a Zoro, a Nami, an Usopp, and a Sanji. The entire East Blue era Straw Hat crew, which is really nice to have included. Plus, this is our first Sanji and our first look at that basic Usopp, and the only look at that basic Zoro, which we'll get to. This set is for ages 10 and up, though this video is for adults only, so get the fuck out of here as I bump the camera. It's, as we said before, set number 75639. Specifically, it's the Going Merry Pirate Ship. It is 1,376 pieces. It's a building toy. At the bottom, as we've seen this entire time, why don't you get one last look at Iñaki Godoy's Luffy, which is great to see. And in the center, obviously, we have a render. The render goes up to the top of the box a little bit, which is kind of neat, but in the background, we have this really nice painterly look. Once again, I'm pretty sure it's from general promotional images, and this is a Photoshop mashup sort of thing, but it does look really nice, and it does harken back to classic LEGO Pirates boxes, and it looks great. And the render does a decent service to what the set's going to look like, even though it does not float, as noted there in the corner. But yeah, at the top, it's the map with the top flag that's at the crow's nest coming up there, and then you get a 1-to-1 scale Monkey D. Luffy right there. Otherwise, it's saying where the parts are from. This side has the translations for the number of wanted posters and the usual map. We've seen this before. This is just on a larger scale, and it also has the set number. On this side, we have the largest look at this wonderful artwork, and our final look at this wonderful artwork, so appreciate while you can. And at the top, it says LEGO One Piece, as you know. At the bottom, it's just barcodes and apps and recycle this box, and yeah, you know this. We've been here before. And then on the back, we have a showcase of everything you can do with the set. Obviously, in the center, we have everyone hanging out on the Merry in alternate looks. Usopp's kind of fallen down from the crow's nest. Zoro's all sorted up. He's going to beat up Sanji, I guess. Sanji is also there. Luffy's eating some meat, and Nami is with the tangerine trees in the back. Plus, it's a nice back-end shot of the Merry itself. And then we also see that there are the different opening compartments at the front, in the middle, and at the back. The back is the biggest, most spacious one, because that's where Sanji can do his cooking. Sanji's cooking. Chopper's doctoring. And there's also that little hidden component for treasure and whatnot. And then at the front there is a cannon. We'll get to all of that as we review the set. Not really review, it's an overview, because this isn't really my big critical thoughts. These are just kind of a first response to everything. But yeah, there's not much more I can say about the box, so why don't we unbox, eh? And we are back with a set that is absolutely magnificent. I gotta plunk that back in. But yeah, it's the day after. I built this really late into the day, and I ended up being very exhausted by the time it was finished. So yeah, it is now a brand new day, the Spider-Man comic book, and also the title of the next Spider-Man movie. But God, this was good. I just want to talk about how good of a build experience this was. I've kind of been build radicalized ever since I built Rutaka. That like a good build experience is possible and honestly necessary for a set to be really, really good. Because like that's part of the fun, you know, that's part of the process, that's part of the experience. And a lot of that comes down to, I guess, like fun setups and payoffs. And this set is honestly kind of full of those clever little build techniques and setups and payoffs. Like the way the mast, there goes Usopp, sorry about that, bud. The way the mast, like you set it up early on with like a little bit of round bricks down here at the bottom, but then you have the axle go through into those to fully stabilize the build. And the way that like a bunch of like these bits on the side attach, where like they only attach via 2 bits, or like things will attach in just the most unconventional of ways, and like it all ends up making sense by the end of the build. But like it's just such a clever little set sorry, I had to grab Usopp there. But yeah, by the time you're finished building the model, you've just gone in so many unconventional ways, and I have to put part of the success of that from the fact that this set has a entirely custom hull. LEGO has like ship parts that could have theoretically been used, like pre-existing pre-molded ship parts that could have theoretically been used, but I imagine certain details like this gray stripe or this little white bit at the front prevented that from happening. And honestly, we're all the better for it, because it just made such a interesting, complex build that was just a joy to put together, and of course ends up with a far more accurate Going Merry than you would have gotten with those hull pieces. But yeah, I think we should get to the minifigures. I'm gonna go in character acquisition order, I guess, not in terms of the set, but in terms of the series. Because in terms of the set, if I remember correctly, it goes Zoro, then Sanji, then Usopp, then Luffy, then Nami, which is an insane order to build things in. But we'll go in terms of the series itself. So, starting off, of course, I'll move in so that we can get closer shots of these minifigures. First off, sitting on the Mary's head is, of course, the one and only Monkey D. Luffy. Now, we've seen a lot of these parts. A majority of this minifigure was seen in the Buggy the Clown's circus tent set. The face print, the torso, and the legs, those are all from that, so it's nothing too surprising. Let's get a look at that secondary face. There we are. Nice and in focus, kind of. But yeah, you've seen that before. And you've kind of seen his hair hat piece before back on the Windmill Village Hut set, the flashback set. But we haven't seen it in black, and it works incredibly well here. The hat's nice and big, as you would expect, and the hair pokes out very perfectly. It's clearly made to fit Inyaki's more curly hair, even though it did work for Shanks as well, oddly enough. But yeah, it looks great. It's a great minifigure, and it's great that you get him and the rest of his East Blue crew in this set. So speaking of, I'm gonna go in anime order. Next up, we have our expert swordsman, Roronoa Zoro. And again, this is the only way to get his basic look, which we'll get to. The blue shirt look is actually more common, oddly enough, but here we have his tan shirt. In the anime, it's more of a white, but I'm fine with the tan. It works fine, it looks good. It is also nicely printed. I really like the way that it looks. It's got some nice folds, but not feeling too overly detailed. It looks a little dirty, clearly, because, I mean, Zoro, I imagine, doesn't take a lot of baths. I do like the smirk. I've just today even seen someone be like, I don't really like the smirk. It doesn't really feel like Zoro. I mean, it does, though. It just doesn't feel like live-action Zoro. It feels a lot more like anime Zoro, because I feel like in, like, a lot of promotional art, he does smile. He has his green hair. which is that Superman Justice League era sculpt. And he's got the sort of clenching face, which, again, like last time, since they are incredibly dedicated to giving us Zoro accessories, you have all the parts for him to go 3-sword style. So you have the bandana, which again, nicely sculpted. We saw it before in the buggy set. Let me move the Watto first, so he can get his 2 generic katanas into his hands. So you get his 2 katanas. And then, of course, as previously seen, you get the Watto Ichimonji. I mean, I got 2 Watto Ichimonjis. I got an extra Watto Ichimonji. I got a lot of interesting extra parts out of this. But I got 2 Watto Ichimonjis, which I guess is helpful, just in case you lose/break this Watto Ichimonji. It's nice to have extras and spares and whatnot. But this just clicks on, as we've seen before, and it works incredibly well for our 3-swordsmen. But also, it's good that you get the hair as well, so you can have Zoro be 3 swords, or you can take off the bandana for 2 swords, or whatever. But yeah, next up, moving to the back with her tangerine trees, we've got Nami. And I don't need to go too much over this one, because unlike the Zoro, this is the exact same minifigure that we saw before. This is the most common minifigure in the line. This basic Nami. She appears in Buggy the Clown's circus tent, this set, and the Baratier. So if you buy all the sets, this is the set that you're gonna have, like, the most duplicates of, and really any duplicates of, especially since each Luffy is technically different. We get this Nami, but again, I've stated why I think this minifigure works in that Buggy the Clown set. I feel like I don't really know how I would have done this, because she is wearing shoes unlike other characters, so I don't think dual molding her legs would have worked all that well. It would have looked just worse on the back. Good hairpiece, good face sculpt, good torso sculpt. I would legitimately use this torso sculpt for just a lot of other characters. And yeah, Nami, good minifigure. But now, onto two more entirely new minifigures, like with Zoro. This one isn't exclusive to this set, unlike Zoro and our other friend, but it's Usopp, in his basic look. Before we saw Usopp in that Arlong Park sort of get-up, which was nice to get, and it's a very good shirt. But also, this is a lot more in keeping with Usopp. For anime onlys, or like manga onlys, it's gonna look a little off, mainly because he has an overshirt over his overalls. But it still has that general color scheme and look that I'm looking for an Usopp, so it'll work as the Usopp in my collection. And yeah, I really like how this looks. Again, he did get leg printing, which felt a little bit more necessary so that it could look like a work shirt with like pockets and like his shoes and like this sort of like tie around his belt, which is nice. And then he also has the overalls, which once again are very detailed in their printing, but like never feel like too much, which I think is something I've really gotta applaud. It looks great. And then he has the same bandana hairpiece, just with pink instead of the green, but with the same sort of dreadlocks, which look great. And then Usopp's face print is also great, with the sort of confident smirk there, and then his scared look there, which just fits great for the great Captain Usopp. Yeah, I'm gonna put him down here so he doesn't fall off while we're looking over the set. Finally, though, is the last straw hat we've needed. In previous sets, we've gotten Luffy, we've gotten Nami, we've gotten Zoro, we've gotten Usopp, but we haven't gotten Sanji, Cook of the Straw Hat Pirates. Stupid Cook. Mosshead. Anyways, I like Sanji. He's a very basic minifigure, probably the most basic of any of these. I forgot to mention, Zoro does have dual molded arms with the tan and his skin color, but Sanji is just black arms, pure black legs, a fairly plain looking dress shirt, but it is dual-sided, which is good to see if it'll focus. But yeah, he does look like Sanji, though. Again, I think one of the main benefits of getting all these characters into minifigure form, especially if you're looking at the anime or the manga, is that they have very basic designs, so you don't need to go too all out with the printing to make them look really, really good. And this does look really, really good. I guess my main complaint is his face print. It looks enough like Taz Skylar. Also, I got all the names down. Iñaki Godoy, Macanyu, Emily Rudd, Jacob Gibson, and Taz Skylar. So you see, I figured it out. That'll be good for later. Yeah, his face is Fortnite Jonesy. It's fine. It looks enough like Taz Skylar, but unfortunately, because of it being Fortnite Jonesy, he has 2 smiling faces. I wish he had like an aggressive face for when he's fighting fishmen, or when he's fighting other characters, or when he's bickering with Zoro. But whatever. It being Fortnite Jonesy is severely helped by this hairpiece that people keep putting on wrong. Guys, it's supposed to cover his eye. I know you're not used to that for a minifigure, but Sanji has his eye covered at all times. I know it's a little bit thinner for the live-action version, but this works either way as a minifigure piece, and it covers up his eye. You can have it cover up his eye in both forms. He's supposed to have a covered eye, guys. This is how he's supposed to look, and it looks good. It's a good hairpiece. It's a unique hairpiece. Again, they all come with a unique hair sculpt in one way, shape, or form. I know people say like, oh, but Zoro just has Superman's hair. No, it's the bandana that's the new hairpiece for him, for some reason. But yeah, he's very good. I have him holding a tangerine in a plate. You get a spare plate and a spare tangerine, so you can do this. But yeah, let's get into the actual set though, because I'm gonna need to do something crazy. So first off, I'm gonna back up so that we can get a full scope of the ship. Again, we've been talking about it, very nicely sculpted. I can call it sculpting because like they've put work into sculpting it out of Lego bricks. But yeah, very nicely sculpted. It feels right. Looking at the Mary, especially in the anime, it shifts how it looks a lot. When on front on looks, it tends to look fairly chubby, which is probably where this doesn't quite fit it the most just because of the necessities of reality. But thanks to it being Lego, it in comparison to the live action, it feels a lot more smoothed out, where there's a lot of extra like greebling in the live action. It feels a lot more smoothed out because it's made of plastic, but it does work out. It looks a lot fatter from the front, but from the side, this looks about right from seeing side profile shots and looking it up on the internet at least a little bit. It is a lot longer than you think when you look at it from the side profile. But yeah, it looks very nice. I'm legitimately very glad with how it looked out. Even outside of the wonderful build process, it looks perfectly like the Mary. But in order to show that, we're coming unhinged because I want to do some handheld shots so we can get a little closer in to some of the details. So, starting off, we're just going to look at the upper deck. We have the figurehead of the Mary herself. It looks great. It certainly is a lot more narrow than what you'd expect from the anime, and of course it doesn't have super tons of detail, but if you get both Brickheads, you can switch the eyes out for Brickhead's eyes and make them look like Brickhead, and make it look like a little bit more like the anime. So yeah, but it does look nice. There are a lot of stickers on the set, but they weren't too frightening to put on. The most frightening was honestly this one, kind of that one, but this one, because it's stuck in place like that, so you just kind of gotta put it on there. I've gotten it fairly happily, but these smaller ones have the benefit of being on single jumper tiles, so if the sticker is off on yours at an angle, you can rotate it, which is just such a smart design choice. Like, oh my god. Anyhow, back up here, the Mary figurehead looks great, and of course, as you would expect, we have the cannon down there, which it would have been nice if this was a Lego cannon, but I get it for functionality's sake. It's kind of stuck in here, and in order to get it to actually fire, they included a little button right there. So, you essentially press that down and it shoots. I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want to lose the stud in there. It fires, and it's all good. There's a lot of these nice little rubber tubes in this set. We got these, we got these, we got these. They all work fine. These were a bit of a hassle to get onto the little Technic pips or whatever, but I love how these look. They angle fucking perfectly into place, and it fits the arch of the ship just stunningly. I'm surprised at how well that fucking works. It's astounding. I love it. Onto the deck, there's a lot of space, but there's also some nice accessories. You get a little bit of tea, you get some beer for Zoro. I have to assume that's beer. And then we get a chest full of Luffy's favorite treasure, meat. Let's get in there so you can focus. Yeah, he's just got meat. He's got like a bone in there, there's a hot dog, and there's a chicken leg. But this also helps to show off our first removing panel into like sort of like a workstation slash sleep area. It looks like Zoro's sort of like hammock, but there's also like workstation area. It's a little hard to get in there, but like there's some nice accessory detailing in there. I know it's upside down in the frame, but you can see it. You can see it. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's nothing too detailed, and there's a decent amount of stickers in there to help add detail, but I do like that this set is just full of little role-play compartments, and that's also part of why we couldn't have a full cannon, so that we could have that compartment, and I think it is a fair trade, seeing like all the reasoning for it, even if it doesn't look quite as nice. Maybe like a larger version of the Mary would provide real cannons, but I think this works all right. There is an anchor. I love that there's an anchor mode. I'm going a little bit insane. Next up is the main deck, which is probably the most plain, at least from the looks of it. Let's get our lighting situation set up so that we can look at it. It's fairly plain. There's some work tools, and there's also the little barrel that they all put their feet on, which is a great little detail. There's some work tools, which may seem anachronistic, but work out fine because, you know, it's One Piece. I mean, in part, that's because the space is mainly meant for A, minifigure compartments, and B, the mast. But it is nice that it feels fairly fully playable. There are two little door-esque compartments. There's one on this side, if I can get the angle right, and then one on that side, if I can light it properly, you can see it, that go into the two different compartments on either side of the ship, which look very nice. But the main thing here is that there's another removable compartment. Each one has like a little pull tab so that you can get at it easily if Jacob Gibson isn't in the way. This one's supposed to just fully lift up, I think. Anyways, there's like a little storage compartment for food and posters, and I should show off the posters I got in this one, because there are two new ones that I got. Posters-wise, I've been kind of unlucky, because I got another buggy, and then this set, I also got a duplicate of one that I got new in this set. So yeah, we got another buggy. No need to stay focused on it too long. Let's get it into the light. But also, I got two new ones. First off, the earliest villain in the series that Luffy has to face. I got Captain Alvida. I got two Captain Alvidas, which is a little annoying because I don't super want an Alvida, but I haven't gotten the three that I want the most yet. Hopefully I get them in the Baradier, but we'll see, and I might need to trade/order for them. But yeah, we got an Alvida. Once again, very nicely printed. I'm really glad with how it looked. And yeah. Finally though, the only big villain that isn't represented in the sets other than posters, we got Captain Kuro of the Black Cat Pirates. I like that they use the Wolverine claws, that's just very Lego-y, but again, it looks very good. I like how they portrayed him pushing up his glasses. It's great. Plus it has the accurate berry amount, and it just looks good. Good poster. But yeah, we also get more food accessories, mostly breads and fruits in that one, but it's primarily designed for poster storage as well. But yeah, moving back to the ship itself, we have the mainsail, which is made of a vinyl, which looks generally great. It does get folded in shipping though. My main suggestion for this, what I've done to somewhat alleviate the bend in it, which I want to do a little bit more of, since it's made of plastic, take the back side of it where there's less printing and it's just kind of bleeding through, and get yourself some hot water. Use that hot water to sort of mold it back into shape. It does help a decent amount at least. I probably need to do a bit more than this, but it did look a little bit worse in earlier shots if you remember. But what matters here is that there is a crow's nest with those amazing vinyl elements. They look great. They look fucking great. They just do. The biggest problem is you can't really connect a minifigure's feet to the crow's nest. I'll put Usopp here to show you. There's no real room because of the Jolly Roger to fit a minifigure's legs in there, but they can just sort of lie there, which means it's not the most secure connection, especially for transport, but it does look nice to have Usopp up there. Anyways, there are also some nice stair constructions on that side. I'm gonna wiggle it around a little bit so you can get a more proper look. You see, there's some really nice stair constructions that are nice and complex, but not repetitive, and it was, again, very ingeniously designed build that's just so fun to fucking do. And of course, on the side, we have our big gray stripe with some white little like lines that go around it. Of course, the main sort of ornate sort of white around the whole thing, which looks great. And we also get some more stairs on this side. As you can see, I have Sanji posed going down the stairs, which is nice. I'm trying to get it properly angled. Give me a second. There you go. You can see it. And that goes up to here. This thing plays a bit weird with scale. This is very much the most miniaturized thing here. I mean, the whole thing is miniaturized in comparison to the scale of minifigures, but that is supposed to be like, that door is supposed to be a normal door, but I'm generally able to pass with it because if you take the minifigures off, it looks like a scale model, but then when you put the minifigures on, it doesn't feel too overbearing size-wise. I think one of the most important things to note is if this was bigger, it sure would be more accurate size-wise, but also it would be overbearing. We wouldn't be able to get any other ships at under like $600, and also this would just be so hard to store, especially since it's a small ship. It's supposed to be a small ship. Mary's not the biggest ship in the world. Moving on to the back, before we take the back off, this is also just one of the most intricately sculpted little bits, and of course the window fell out. These windows, I hate them. We've gone over this, but they suck. Anyways, I really like how this is done, and I also do like the general sculpting on this. I'm not super into the ball joint construction of this. I kind of wish it was just on like a hinge, but It works fine. But yeah, we get the tangerine trees, which is great to have. And then, of course, this is that whole construction, which looks like the back of the ship. It's able to come off in two main ways. First off, you slide out the back, if I can get it. There we are. We slide out the back. There's some treasure in there, and it does open up so you can get a better look at it. I know Usopp's ketchup bottle is in there, which leads me to believe that everything else in there's also like a spyglass, which leads me that everything else in here, if it doesn't have like a material purpose, it also has other significance. So I'll have to do research into that. If you have any ideas, let me know. This incredibly cleverly sculpted deck also pulls up. It's just attached by like 2 studs, and it feels nice and sturdy enough. This is just also an amazing piece of construction. It's got the shaping down pat, and it looks great. And inside, we get Sanji's kitchen. But yeah, it's just amazing how they were able to get this to work. The window pane's probably in there as well, but yeah, this is just wonderful. I love the amount of space. It feels a little cramped, but it doesn't feel too cramped, which is surprising. He's got like little stickers for like for like cabinets and for like cups. And he's got the food there, and it just looks great. It looks perfect. It looks just ripped out of the series, and yeah, it's just a great little build. Overall, I love the Mary. This is legitimately one of my favorite things I've ever had built in Lego. Of course, it certainly helps that I'm a big One Piece fan. I love the Mary. The Mary is such an important ship, just in general, in pop culture, in whatever. And it's just great to have a version of the Mary in Lego form. And it certainly helps that this is my first toy version of the Mary. And like, these are some of the only live action One Piece toys on the market, which is crazy to me because I think having something fun for kids to play with in the One Piece world is, I think, imperative, because so much One Piece is about childlike joy, and like, I think kids should have something to play with, and I'm glad that this is a children's playset, even if it is a bit pricey. That's my thoughts on the Going Merry. You should definitely pick it up if you're a One Piece fan. This is the set to get, and yeah, it'll be good if you get it. I hope you enjoyed this little video. Do remember to do all the usual YouTube stuff. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz, and yeah, I'll see you for more One Piece. There's about one more set to get through, so hopefully I can get through that in a reasonable time frame. Until then, though, bye-bye!